day 2 of starting 2023 with a season of prayer. Yes, we entered this seeking God's direction and who we're to be as a church, but ultimately the hope is that during this time you'll grow in your relationship with Christ. So let's start with this question of why do we even pray? We exist to be in relationship with God, and Christ's life, death, and resurrection make that possible. The greatest followers of Jesus are those with the greatest relationship with him, and anyone with a great relationship starts with great communication. Prayer is ultimately how we communicate with God. And yeah, that's kind of a lot to digest and unpack, so I want to back up just a little bit. GPS is an incredible invention, and I've got to be honest, I don't understand exactly how it all works, but I utilize it to guide me really wherever I want to go. I hop on Waze all the time, right? I was recently reading a story of a woman in Belgium, though, who got in her car to pick up a friend at the train station, and she activated her GPS to give her directions. And the trip really should have only taken her about 90 minutes, but somehow the GPS took her the wrong direction, and sadly, she just kind of blindly followed wherever it went. So rather than ending at the train station, the story went, at least, that she ended up about 900 miles from where she was supposed to be. Crazy. And this silly little example shows me that even when we follow the best of the world's directions, it can still take us to the wrong destination. I believe the world has always been kind of broken and messy, but you could argue that the world has never been more confusing than it is now. I mean, it's silly, but Danielle sent me to go get milk from the grocery store the other day, and when I got to the grocery store, I wasn't sure of what type of milk she wanted me to grab. Have y'all stopped going curbside and walked into a grocery store recently? Have you noticed how many types there are? Like, did she want 1%, 2%, fat-free, whole, soy, almond, coconut, organic? Like, the list went on, and I was overwhelmed. I didn't know, and she wasn't answering the text, and it felt like a moment of crisis. But many of us are facing more significant issues than what milk to bring home. We live in a world where racial oppression and gender confusion, political tension, pandemic opinions, all of those are real issues. As parents, we're some of the first or second generation trying to navigate how to raise children in a social media, smartphone crazed world. It's a confusing world we live in. But in the middle of it, we can cut through all the confusion and chaos and communicate with the very God who created us. Prayer is what gives us direction in this confusing world. And God's guidance will never steer us in the wrong direction like the lady in Belgium. So why pray? Because you need God's direction. Today I invite you to think about 2 or 3 things that maybe seem confusing or unsure of what you're supposed to do, or maybe how you're supposed to handle a situation, and ask God for some direction. Then I encourage you to pray for your church leadership, for God's direction in this season we find ourselves in. Have a blessed day.